ये क्वेश्चन है ज्योग्राफी के PYQs ऑप्शनल का। तो मतलब देखते हैं इसको। फॉर्मेशन ऑफ टेम्परेचर साइक्लोन डिपेंड ऑन द कंडीशन ऑफ एक्सिस ऑफ डायलेशन elucidate formation of a temperate cyclone. Extratropical cyclone is fundamentally a kinetic and dynamic process where the axis of dilation plays a pivotal role in frontogenesis, the creation of the frontal boundaries that drive these storms. Understanding the axis of dilation. The axis of dilation is an imaginary line within a deformation zone. Air converges from two opposite direction. The axis of contraction and diverges along the perpendicular axis, the axis of dilation. Role in temperate cyclone formation. The development of these cyclones depend on how this axis interacts with existing isotherms temperature lines to create the necessary thermal instability. Frontogenesis, the angle rule for a temperate cyclone to form the thermal gradient G must intensify. This happens only if the angle between the isotherms and the axis of dilation is less than 45 degree. In this condition, the wind field stretches the air masses in a way that brings cold and warm air closer together, sharpening the front. Frontalizes a suppression if the angle is greater than 45 degree. The wind field acts frontolitically, spreading the isotherms apart and weakening the temperature gradient, which prevents cyclogenesis. And frontalizes suppression if the angle is greater than 45 degree. The wind field acts frontolitically, spreading the isotherms apart and weakening the temperature gradient, which prevents cyclogenesis. Kinematic exhaust system. The axis of dilation in the upper troposphere acts as an exhaust vent by facilitating horizontal divergence aloft. It forces air to rise from the surface. This vertical ascent creates the surface low pressure center necessary for the cyclone's birth. Meridional interactions. When the axis is oriented meridionally north-south, it allows for the maximum interaction between cold polar air and warm tropical air, setting the stage for the frontal wave development described in the polar front theory. Significance in the life cycle. Initially state the axis of dilation maintains the stationary front where two contrasting air masses meet. Intensification as the cyclone matures. The orientation of this axis determines the strength of vorticity advenctions which spins up the storm. Dissipations. The cyclone begins to decay when the axis of dilation no longer supports the separation of air masses, leading to an occluded front where the temperature gradient is eventually lost. Thank you, guys.